My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Round 6, and this starts the second half of the season for the Hyundai Construction Equipment British Sidecar Championship. We're back here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit, which is where it all began earlier in the year. And we're also back here for the finale. Look at the crowds, they love Brands Hatch. The weather is perfect, the standings look good, but we've got a clear leader. Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark are dominating on their big Kawasaki. Teammates Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson are chasing them hard. But this weekend, the Birchall brothers are back from world duty. They might be down in the standings, but they're very quick. Second fastest in qualifying. Look at that impressive total, 286. Todd Ellis, Chaz Richardson there, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde having a great season. The Birchalls are here, but they are not even on the top 10 in the leaderboard, so a lot of work for them to do. The 600 cover, similarly impressive lead for Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson over Stevens and Charlwood. I can tell you the weather here was very, very hot when race 1 came to the line. A 12-lapper lay ahead of these guys. Kershaw and Clark from pole position made a cracker. The Birchalls were quick. Todd Ellis had a look, but the big bike of Ian Guy and the big BMW of Roger Lovelock shot through past Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson to slot into second and third place. The big engines were quick, so at this point in the race it was 1, 2, 3 for 1000cc. On the exit from Druids, Gary Bryan and Ricky Stevens had a bit of a coming together, putting Bryan almost on the grass, but the 600 JG Speedfit Kawasaki was through. Roger Lovelock's BMW, he and Rick Lawrence having something of a comeback here at Brands after a long layoff. They were absolutely flying, and they stayed ahead of Gary Bryan. Todd Ellis, meanwhile, trying to follow the Birchalls round the outside of Ian Guy, almost made it stick, but on the run down to Graham Hill Bend, he was by. Past Ian Guy on the inside. Ian Guy then succumbed to a lunge by Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charlwood, so his Suzuki was going backwards at this point. Gary Bryan, having a good look, went through underneath Ricky Stevens and set his eyes firmly on the back end of Jed Pillmore Brady. Greg Lambert was very quickly out of the action on his short bike, so race 1 for Greg Lambert was over. Roger Lovelock continued to astound everybody, but went a little bit wide. Through went Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson. So now 2 600s were leading the big BMW from Marlborough. The Birchall brothers were relishing the conditions here. Their corner speed was just incredible on their Yamaha, the Mitchells of Mansfield Yamaha. And whilst you might think this circuit favoured the big bikes, the 600 corner speed was incredible. This is the battle between Ricky Stevens and Gary Bryan, Phil Hyde, and Stevens and Charlwood getting the verdict. But on the straight, the power of the big Kawasaki prevailed, and through they went. That's about 150 miles an hour down Pilgrim's Drop. Into Hawthorne Bend they went along to Westfield. Further down the order, Brian Gray and Jason Pitt were having a bit of a fight with Nev Jones. He and Jody James beached it, so no further part in the proceedings for Nev Jones. He was out of it in a cloud of dust. Disconsolately trudging away, the big fella would fight again in race 2. Lovelock and Lawrence, though, continue to confound. And for quite a long time, until they made a mistake, they were heading Gary Bryan, but that mistake let he and Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charlwood through. But a good effort from the boys from Marlborough and Basingstoke, respectively. Brian Gray and Jason Pitt having a good battle with Rob Biggs and Jerome Smits on that beautifully turned out Taurus Tools outfit. but Biggs it was who went through on the inside at Surtees, galloped away down towards Pilgrim's Drop, never to look back. At the front though, Kershaw and Clark on the Santander Salt Kawasaki took an amazing checkered flag, a huge lead they had over the Birchells, who relished the conditions but simply had no answer for the superior power with their 600cc Yamaha. Nevertheless, they were well pleased. It was a good, hard-fought second place ahead of Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson. Despite their cracking start, it was third for them. Gary Bryan, Phil Hyde fourth, and in fifth place, Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood, and they were very well pleased with a good result, albeit 28 seconds adrift of the flying Kershaw at the head. Lovelock and Lawrence finished up sixth. Guy, what a ride he and Jed Pilmore Brady had, terrific, ahead of Gary Horsepole. Andy Peach, at least he got a finish ahead of Rob Biggs. Dean Nichols and Kenny Colbert in 13th. Brian Gray finished 14th. Race 2, and it's a reverse grid situation. I absolutely love it. It puts Sam and Adam Christie on a 600 on their very first pole position. So it's a new experience for them. We've got a mixture of 1000cc and 600cc outfits in this. Lining up alongside them, Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton. They're on a big bike. They're on a big Yamaha, an R1, a Screamer R1, not a Big Bang R1. Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell, another 1000cc bike right here. Over there, Ian Guy and Jed Pilmore Brady. They really started well in race 1. The winners of race 1, the championship leaders, and the Birchall brothers are way back there on row 5. It's a 12-lapper, conditions are great, there's cloud cover, the tarmac is very warm. I'm going in. Very humid, cloud cover, but it is incredibly warm, and we're at the end of the day here, and the crowd has stayed. They've just witnessed a fantastic British Superbike race, and they are loving everything here at Brands Hatch. Must be a bumper crowd this weekend. Just look at them basking in the sun. That is special. The tension then ahead of these 12 laps going to be high. Let's see what Sam and Adam Christie can do from pole position. Simon Gilbert there in second. Then it's Gary Horsepole. Oh, Gary Horsepole creeping. Was that a jump start? Was that a jump start? Will he get a ride through? But definitely creeping off the line for Gary Horsepole. Through goes Steve Kershaw from row 5. Kershaw and Clark then swinging out wide. Ricky Stevens, somebody locked up there as well. A puff of tyre smoke. The Birchells in the thick of the action. They're not too sure about this reverse grid, but they're wise and sensible enough not to try and do it all on lap 1. Out in front then, it's Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. We're on board with Simon Gilbert in second place. They're the pole position men, Sam and Adam Christie, who have had a best result of 4th in the World Championship race, so they're doing very, very well. And their first taste of world action, now they're back with us in the British as a wild card. On board with Kershaw and Clark, scything through behind the yellow helmeted Gary Horsepole and James Connell. Underneath they go into Hawthorne, along to Westfield. Look at the race leaders, Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. They've given us a great showing in 2018. Looking back then at Sam and Adam Christie. There you can see the number 29 Kershaw and Clark in 3rd place. 2nd place it's Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton, number 51, on the Draper Racing 1000cc Yamaha. So 3 big bikes at the front of the action. Past we go, on board with Kershaw and Clark then on the run down towards Clearways. Birchall going through, 3 in 1 gobble there. There, Ben and Tom Birchall swinging a little bit wide as they went underneath Todd Ellis. Todd Ellis has got the verdict here on the straight. His Honda very quick, but so's the R6 Yamaha of Ben and Tom Birchall, the Mitchells of Mansfield bike. Watch Todd Ellis backing it in here. He is so fast into Paddock Hill Bend, and if he can latch onto the back of Ben and Tom, then he's going to learn a lesson and a few more tricks to put in his book. Ahead of Ben and Tom Birchall, Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood on the Quattro Plant JG Speedfit Kawasaki. Confidence is coming back by the bucket loads for Ricky Stevens, twice former champions, those boys. Now this the battle for the lead. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde, can they hold Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark back? on the run down to Pilgrim's Drop. 155, 158 miles an hour. Through they go on the inside into Hawthorne Bend, along the sharp straight then. The Birchells now closing on the back of Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood. They've come from row 5. Easy as that. Through they go, Ben and Tom Birchall. And ahead of them, Dean Nichols and Kenny Cole out of it. That's a shame. Been going well this year, Dino. Very well indeed. We miss the Kershaws going past. Through they go. In the lead of the race now. But Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde doing a very respectable job. Jack Tritton, the back end of Jack Tritton ahead of the Birchells. This is a big engine. You can see it's a big engine. Away it goes. But look at Ben and Tom. Through on the inside. Was that a kiss? Doesn't matter. Through they go. Up to third place. Third place for Ben and Tom Birchall then. Ahead of Simon Gilbert and Ricky Stevens looking at the inside of Druins. Stevens and Charwood are through as well. So they are fourth and chasing. And going with them, it's Todd Ellis and Chaz Richardson in fifth place. What an unbelievable race this is. On board with Stevens and Charwood. The Quattro-Plant JG Speedfit Kawasaki looking good now. Following them through, the number 6 red-plated of Todd Ellis on the Santander Salt 600cc Honda. There you can see them. They're still ahead of Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton. And Simon Gilbert is quick, there is no doubt about it. Making a comeback year in 2018, he and young Jack Tritton have done a great job for the Draper Racing Yamaha team. On lap 3 of 12, I'd better back off. It's a long, long way to go here. A spit of flame from Todd Ellis as they weave through towards the left-hander then of Sterling's. They're at Sterling's now, the sprint down. Oh, it's a retirement for Gary Horspold. No, it's a ride-through. That's a result of the jump start. So, justice is done here. It's a ride-through penalty. It was clearly a jump start. We all saw that. I'd almost forgotten it until I was reminded by them coming in to pit lane. And Todd Ellis backing it in all the way round. Well, it had to happen. I have to say, Todd, you were the quickest man into there by a country mile, but now it's on the beach. That, my son, is going nowhere. Chaz Richardson has got enough experience to know that he alone will not get that outfit out of the ground. Massive lead by Kershaw and Clark. This the battle now for second place. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. The number 68 crew. 4.1 seconds adrift. The lap record here held by Tim Reeves, 1:30.366, and the Kershaw and Clark are a second shy of that at the moment, and it doesn't look like it's going to fall today. What can Ben and Tom Birchall do with 600 power against this big Kawasaki? Well, it won't be on this straight as they come round Sterling down to Clearways. They're having a look. This is, and through they go on the inside. It won't be on the straight, but it's under brakes and corner speed. Oh, Andy Peach and Ken Edwards smoking. They say that that Yamaha has been painfully slow all weekend and is just about expired. Simon Gilbert and Jack Tritton, another one retiring. Can they get it onto the grass? I heard something rattle there. So their Yamaha comes to a halt and is abandoned by the Armco. So despite a fine start and a really, really strong race, Simon Gilbert and young Jack Tritton have to push it into a safer area. Meanwhile, the race goes on, almost half distance. Kershaw and Clark on the Santander Salt Molson Kawasaki, ably assisted by Express Tyres of Lockerbie, charge on ahead of the Birchells. Gary Bryan still there, chasing hard, Stevens and Charwood. Gary Bryan holding that advantage over Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood, but the JG Speedfit Kawasaki pair having a much, much better weekend here at Brands Hatch. If they can keep this momentum up, or at least get past Gary Bryan, they are on for only their second podium this year. Making it through to third. They had a podium at Alton Park in the opening round, They've been a bit in the wilderness since, but they're looking strong here. The old confidence coming back, the old form coming back, and now totally accustomed to 600cc power. Just to remind you, everything will be 600s from 2019 onwards, mirroring what's happened in the World Championship. And that will theoretically give a lot of crews to float backwards and forwards between the championships. And if we can dovetail the calendars better, then there's no reason why those crews with the right sort of budget couldn't do both series. Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde looking to enhance their standings in the table. A good third place for them coming here, and will they retain third going away? Well, every chance of that. It's been a good year for them. Strong TT performance as well, despite that well-documented lawnmower injury to Gary's right hand. Not funny, I can tell you. It was a serious, serious injury, and could have been an awful lot worse. But doing a great job now. Ricky Stevens with superior corner speed underneath. Oh, Gary Bryan got the back end loose there. Then when he corrected, he almost went onto the gravel on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. So, in an effort to keep the speed going and keep Stevens and Charlwood at bay, that almost cost Gary Bryan what is now fourth position in the race. Stevens and Charlwood then on for a podium. Let's have a look at this. Through they go. Gary Bryan gets the back end loose, overcorrects, swings it left, and almost went into the gravel. But it matters not to Stevens and Charlwood, they are through. But Gary Bryan coming back on the run down from Pilgrim's Drop, showing his front wheel, the nose cone of his fairing to them, but no, they kept the momentum going on the corner. So the Quattroplant JG Speedfit Kawasaki is now in third and looking like staying in third at 3/4 race distance. Meanwhile, right up the road, ahead of them, Ben and Tom Birchall on target for what's looking increasingly like another runner-up spot. You saw them just disappear out of sight round Clearways, and even further ahead, race leaders Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark. Anxious pit crew looking, Kirsty Hawkswell there with her plaster cast on her ankle as a result of the Cadwell accident, and it's good to see Shelley Smithers in the paddock here at Brands as well. On board with Brian Gray and Jason Pitt, looking at the back then of Nev Jones and Jody James, and ahead of them Kevin Cable and Guy Pawsley. So this scrap looking good, a 600 then challenging these two big engines ahead of him. Can Brian Gray use that corner speed and go underneath Nev Jones? Well, the answer there is for everyone to see. Yes, he can, but will the big engine fight back on the run down towards Clearways and go for the inside line at Clearways? Well, no, Brian Gray, vastly experienced veteran, knows how to get a bike round here safely, and he does it supremely well. Nev Jones then on the straight going alongside, but he's going to be on the outside at Paddock Hill Bend, and that will not work, Nev. But you know that anyway, I don't have to tell you that. Looking at the inside, can he get the power on up to Druid? So a good scrap between these two, and there have been battles all the way down the field. This reverse grid format is certainly entertaining, and just look at the spectators. We're at the end of the day here at Brands Hatch. Goodness knows how many people came through the gate, but they've all stayed for this brilliant sidecar race. On the final lap then, Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark on their way to victory number 12, would you believe? Consecutive victory number 12 in the 2018 Hyundai Construction Equipment British Sidecar Championship. What a season they have had. But unlike at Knock Hill, the lap record set by Tim and Tristan Reeves stands. It'll have to wait for another day. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll see the multiple world champion come and have a go at increasing it himself. Who knows? Unlikely though on a 600. That was set on a big engine, and it's unlikely to be beaten by a 600. So we'll have new lap records for next year to factor in the capacity change. On their way then, what a brilliant performance it's been. Victory number 2 here at Brands Hatch for Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark on the run down to the checkered flag. Just shy of lapping Nev Jones and Jody James, who have had a strong second race, a good performance for them. Nev Jones enjoys his racing and has his moments, I have to say. But there it is, checkered flag, victory number 2 for Kershaw and Clark. Marching on imperiously in the points tally. Sean and Anthony Hilditch over the line, ahead of the French ladies, and second place for Benetton Birchall. A shake of the hand, congratulating each other. They had no answer for the big engine of Kershaw and Clark. Horsepole and Connell avoid being lapped by Stevens and Charwood, who claim the final step on the podium, second podium for them this year, ahead of Gary Bryan and Phil Hyde. Another very creditable performance. But there you have it, complete race time, 18.5 minutes for Kershaw and Clark. March on again on the Santander Salt Molson Express tyres of Lockerbie Kawasaki. There's the podium, Kershaw, Birchall, Stevens, ahead of Bryan, Lovelock and Lawrence. A fantastic weekend for those two boys. Let's see them out at Thruxton. What can they do there on the big BMW? Another brilliant ride by Ian Guy and Jed Pillmore Brady. And further down the order, the final point collected by Mike Russell and Sean Parker. Here we are again, Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark. Double victory here at Brands Hatch. The wins just keep going on and on. But what impressed me was your opening lap. From row 5, you were second at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, we just got pick the gaps right. We're getting we've had a lot of practice at it, and learnt a lot last year off of Tim, we enjoy it and don't find it too difficult. It's good fun.
We'll get Ben and Tom Birchall while they're leaning on the fence talking to Whit, but a great result, and you said at the end of it you really enjoyed that. Was it fun?
Yeah, it was a cracking race, yeah. I mean, these reverse grids are, a bit of a question around paddock, but when they're like that, it's good fun and it makes for good racing. Really enjoyed it. We've had some great support this weekend from One Call, and LEW has been here, and Mitchell's watching from home, I'm sure. So it's been a real good weekend for us. Really enjoyed it.
Ben, your engine down the straight really sings, doesn't it? What does it peak out at?
We've got a rev limit about 16.1, but I try not to get to that. It's overpower. It's gone out of its power at that. But we've worked really hard with Craig Fitzpatrick all this year to try and get it a bit better and a bit better. We've got real competition this year, so we've got it to a real good level, which we can hopefully take at next Grand Prix. But yeah, it is singing. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Ricky Stevens, you're back in the groove. You said to me earlier today your confidence is coming back. It clearly has.
Definitely, Barry, yeah. Every time I get here, I always say what I'm going to do, and it never happens. So I'm not going to say it this time, but yeah, my confidence is definitely back. I'm enjoying riding the bike, and I've just got confidence to make moves. These 600, you need to make moves, and people have been telling me, and for rightly or wrongly, I'm always on the edge, but now that's what you have to do, and it's safe, and I'm just pleased to be up there now, so I'm confident.
Well, I haven't done the sums, but you can see for yourselves, they've got one hand on the title, but we will have double points in the finale, so anything could happen. Ellis ahead of Bryan, Stevens then in fourth, a good strong position. Behind them, Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell. What a great season they've had as well. In the 600 Cup, it's Ellis from Stevens and Brian Gray, a worthwhile third. Great. It's really great to see Ben and Tom Birchall back in the championship and giving Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark a bit of a run for their money. But I have to say, the Scots are in devastating form. Can they carry that form to the next round, which is in Hampshire at Thruxton? The fastest circuit on our calendar. That is going to be really interesting. It's going to be just fantastic. So please join us. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in Hampshire in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
There's more to come after the break as we head to Sydney Motorsport Park for our continued final round coverage of the High Tech Oils Australian FX Superbike Championship.